Hey there. Welcome to this deep dive. We're really diving into some fascinating stuff today.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to be talking all about secure messaging.
Yeah,
You seem like the kind of person who likes to know how things work.
I do. I do.
So we're going to get a little technical today,
Okay.
but that's okay.
I'm all for it.
We're going to be focusing on two players in the secure messaging world, Smoke and Delta Chat.
Two very different approaches.
Yeah, and we've got some interesting sources here that actually compare them head to head.
And they don't hold back on their opinions?
No, they don't. In fact, one of the first things that jumped out at me was how much they kind of criticize WhatsApp.
Especially for organizations?
Yeah, they list like 7 key reasons why WhatsApp might not be the best choice.
Especially if you're dealing with sensitive information.
Right, and one of those reasons is actually pretty scary from a legal standpoint.
Oh, yeah, definitely in some countries.
Like in Germany, for example.
In Germany, you can get sued for adding someone to a WhatsApp group without their consent. Seriously.
Yeah, just for adding someone to a group.
Wow. That just shows you how much control WhatsApp has over our data.
And how little control we have over it.
Exactly, which is why a lot of organizations are turning to open source solutions.
Where you can see the code, you can audit it, you can even modify it if you need to.
Okay, so let's meet our open source contenders then.
Okay.
We've got Smoke and Delta Chat in this corner.
Two very different approaches, but both aiming for that secure communication.
Right. So let's start with Delta Chat. What's its deal?
Well, Delta Chat has this really clever trick up its sleeve. It actually uses email as its transport layer.
So my messages are like disguised as emails?
In a way, yes. It's piggybacking on the existing email infrastructure.
That's pretty ingenious.
It is, and it means that Delta Chat can be used by anyone with an email address.
No need to create a whole new account or anything.
Exactly. It leverages a concept called chat over email servers from this messaging app. Spot on.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's not as well known, but it's actually pretty influential in the secure messaging world. Interesting. Okay, so Delta Chat is using email. And how does it handle the whole encryption thing?
It uses something called autocrypt for key exchange. The process that lets users encrypt and decrypt messages securely.
Right. And autocrypt is based on?
It actually evolved from an idea in Spot On called Write PLO or EPKS.
Whoa, hold on. So this Spot On messenger, even though we're not really focusing on it today,
Right.
it's actually played a role in shaping how secure messaging works.
It has. And it's a great example of how innovation can come from unexpected places.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this REPAO thing. How does it work?
Well, it's all about making sure that both people in a conversation have the right keys to decrypt messages.
Okay.
And it does this by sending keys back and forth in a secure way. So Delta Chat adapted that concept for autocrypt.
Got it. So Delta Chat is all about accessibility and building on existing technology.
Yeah, you could say that.
What about Smoke? It seems to have a more custom-built approach, right?
Right. Smoke uses its own custom architecture and a unique identifier system called SI hash.
SIPI hash.
Yeah. It's kind of like a way to create these super efficient digital fingerprints for each user,
Okay.
which helps with things like key exchange and keeps your identity more private.
I see. So it's all about security and privacy from the ground up.
Exactly.
All right. So we've got Delta Chat leveraging the familiarity of email and Smoke, going for a more bespoke approach. How do they compare in terms of actually setting up and running the server?
That's where Smoke really shines.
Okay.
Its server software, called Smokestack, is designed to be incredibly user-friendly.
Like how user-friendly are we talking?
You could literally run your own private Smoke server on an old Android phone if you wanted to.
On an Android phone?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm guessing running an email server for Delta Chat is a bit more complicated.
You could say that email servers have a lot of moving parts,
Right. So Smokestack is really geared towards simplicity.
even for people who aren't server experts.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. Smoke has really focused on making the server side of things as easy as possible.
Okay, so we've got Delta Chat using email, Smoke with its custom architecture.
Yeah.
What about the user experience? Do they both offer the usual messaging features like group chat and file sharing?
They do, but there are some key differences.
Like what?
Well, for example, Smoke's multi-device encryption is seamless.
Meaning?
You can switch between your phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever, and your conversations are encrypted and synced across all of them.
That's a big one for me.
It is, especially these days when we're all using multiple devices.
Absolutely. Delta Chat can't do that.
They're still working on that feature.
Okay, so Smoke gets points for multi-device convenience.
Definitely.
What else stands out in the feature comparison?
Well, our sources have this really handy table that lays out Smoke and Delta Chat side by side.
Okay.
It compares them across things like security, usability, and features. It's a really good visual overview.
Perfect. Now, before we dive into that table, I want to hear from you, dear listener.
Oh, good idea.
What are your priorities when it comes to secure messaging?
Yeah. What features are must-haves for you?
Think about it for a second while we grab a quick sip of water.
Yeah. Take your time. We'll be right back.
All right, ready to jump back into this comparison.
Definitely. Let's break down this table that our sources provided.
Okay, so remember, Smoke gets high marks for its technical strengths.
Especially the encryption and how easy it is to set up a server with Smokestack, right?
Exactly. But then you have Delta Chat with that advantage of using email.
Yeah, that familiarity factor. What does the table say about their usability?
Well, it points out that Delta Chat is probably more intuitive to use right away.
Especially if you're used to regular messaging apps.
Right. Smoke, with its focus on customization, might have a bit of a learning curve.
So it's like a trade-off.
Yeah, ease of use versus having more control.
Okay, what about specific features? We touched on group chat earlier.
Right, there are some differences there.
Like what?
Smoke has more options for group chat, including both symmetric and asymmetric encryption.
So you have more control over who sees what in a group. Exactly. With Delta Chat, groups rely on email, which can be a bit slower.
Yeah, and less interactive, like we talked about before.
Right. Email isn't exactly known for its real-time communication.
Especially with a bunch of people all chiming in.
Definitely. Anything else that stands out to you in the comparison?
Let me see. Well, the table also highlights Smoke's customization potential.
Which we mentioned earlier.
Because it's open source, developers can really go in and tailor it.
Our sources actually see that as one of Smoke's biggest strengths, particularly for organizations.
Yeah, being able to adjust the software to fit your own workflows or security protocols is pretty amazing.
It is. It gives you a lot of flexibility.
Okay, so taking all of this into account, where does the source land on Smoke versus Delta Chat?
They lean towards Smoke.
Even with the less polished user interface.
Even with that, the deciding factors seem to be the technical strength, the control you get, and that customization potential.
So even though Delta Chat might be easier to use right out of the box, the source sees Smoke as the more powerful option.
Yeah. Especially in the long run, if you're willing to put in a little extra effort.
But what does all of this mean for our listener?
Yeah.
Why should they care about this secure messaging showdown?
That's the key question, right? It really boils down to your individual needs.
Like, what are your priorities?
Yeah, if you're tech savvy and you really want that control over your communication, Smoke might be the way to go.
But if you just want something that's easy to use and familiar, then Delta Chat could be a better fit.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right tool for the job.
Regardless of which messenger you choose, I think this deep dive has shown us that secure messaging is a complex landscape.
It is. There's a lot more to it than just sending a quick text.
And it's fascinating to see how a smaller player like Spot On, with its innovative ideas,
Like chat over email servers and Repelio.
right, has had such an impact on the development of these more well-known messengers.
It's a great reminder that innovation can come from anywhere.
And that even small contributions can have a big ripple effect.
That brings us to a final thought-provoking question for our listener.
Ooh, I love those. Hit me with it.
Okay, so we've seen that Smoke has some serious technical advantages.
But it's held back a bit by its user interface.
What if that were to change?
Interesting question.
If Smoke had a more intuitive design, could it become the leading secure messaging solution, even surpassing Delta Chat?
That's a great question. And what about Smoke's potential for developers? If more people started using its open source nature and building custom solutions
Could we see a wave of new innovative Smoke implementations?
tailored to specific industries or use cases,
Yeah.
it's definitely possible.
It is, and that's the beauty of open source. The power to shape technology isn't limited to a few big companies.
Anyone with the skills and vision can make a difference.
Exactly.
You know, it's really cool to see how these two messengers embody different philosophies.
Yeah.
With Delta Chat, it's all about using what already exists, like email, to make secure messaging accessible.
Right, and that decentralized approach is really appealing to a lot of people.
And then with Smoke, you have this focus on giving users as much control as possible.
The power to customize, to really make it your own.
It's like they trust you to build the secure messaging experience that you need.
Which is a refreshing change of pace, especially in a world where we often feel like our data isn't ours anymore.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been such a great reminder that we do have options.
We're not stuck with whatever the big tech companies decide to give us.
And that the future of secure messaging is still being written.
It's exciting to think about where things might go from here.
Will Smoke become the go-to solution for everyone? Will Delta Chat keep winning people over with its simplicity?
Or maybe something completely new will emerge.
Who knows? But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
You, dear listener, are now armed with the knowledge to make informed decisions about your own communications security.
You understand the trade-offs, you know the players.
And you might even be inspired to create the next big thing in secure messaging.
We'd love to have you back on the show to talk about it.
Until then, stay curious, stay secure, and keep diving deep.
Absolutely.